Alien warrior women mocked Earth until they saw earthly man. High above the galaxy, on the gleaming planet of Xiphora, the most feared warriors in the universe gathered. These were women of unmatched strength and skill, known in countless star systems for their victories. They were tall, strong, and proud. Every civilization they encountered had either surrendered to them or been crushed. Yet, despite their victories, Xiphora had grown bored. They longed for entertainment, something to test their power, their wit, and their endless courage. In the central hall of the great spire, light shimmered off polished metal walls. The largest hollow screen in the room projected images of a tiny blue and green planet spinning far away in a quiet corner of the galaxy. This was Earth, a world the Xiphorans had studied from afar. The Council of Warriors had called a meeting to discuss it. Lyra, the youngest of the council, tilted her head as she studied the holographic display. Cities sparkled on the planet's surface. Oceans glimmered in the sunlight and tiny specks moved across the land. Humans, Xiphora's scholars had reported. "These humans," said Commander Vela, her voice echoing through the hall like a bell of authority, "are laughably weak, primitive, slow, and unorganized. They cannot even defend themselves from wild animals or natural disasters without chaos." The other warriors laughed, a sound like metal clashing together. They mocked the humans with stories collected from Xiphoran intelligence, tales of humans tripping over each other, failing at machines, and arguing over small disputes. "Look at this!" another warrior exclaimed, pointing to a hollow image of a bustling human city. "They call this civilization? I can see no strength, no order. They are amusing, but nothing more." Lyra frowned slightly. She had always admired the skills and courage of the council, but a small voice in her mind questioned their judgment. "But are we sure we understand them?" she asked quietly. "Perhaps there is more to humans than they appear." The hall went silent. All eyes turned to her. Vela's brow rose in mild irritation. "Lyra, do not waste your curiosity on insects. These creatures are beneath notice. You are young, you will learn. Laughter is the only proper response to Earth." Lyra nodded, hiding her unease. Yet the curiosity inside her could not be silenced. Something about Earth felt different. Something about these small, fragile beings felt interesting. The council voted to send a small scouting party to Earth. Their mission was simple: observe, confirm the weakness of humans, and if necessary, amuse themselves by testing their power. No one expected a challenge. The decision brought laughter again, echoing off the tall walls of the hall. In the cold vacuum of space, the scouting ship prepared for launch. Sleek and silver, it cut through the darkness like a blade. Inside, the warriors readied their weapons, sharpened their reflexes, and reviewed human data. Lyra stared out of the viewing window, watching the blue planet grow larger as the ship approached. Oceans and mountains spread below like a living painting. Forests stretched endlessly and cities dotted the land. Humans moved across the planet like ants, unaware of the observers above. "I still wonder," Lyra whispered to herself, "if they are really as weak as we think." The landing was smooth. The warriors stepped onto the soil of Earth, their boots leaving deep impressions. The air smelled different, fresh, alive, and filled with unknown scents. Lyra's senses tingled with a strange excitement she could not explain. Around them, humans went about their lives. Farmers tilled the soil, children played in fields, and workers carried tools with practiced motions. The humans seemed small, fragile, and unarmed. The warriors smirked. "This is ridiculous," said Vela, her tone dripping with amusement. "All that intelligence, all that hope, and they are so weak." The warriors moved closer, wanting to see how humans would react. Some humans stopped and stared at the strange, tall figures in strange armor. Whispers spread quickly, and curiosity mixed with fear. Vela raised a hand, and a soft wave of energy washed across the nearby humans. The effect was harmless but intimidating. The humans staggered back, unsure what had happened. The warriors laughed. "Pathetic," Vela said. "They flinch at nothing. How amusing." Lyra observed quietly, though. She saw something others did not notice. Humans did not run away. They did not scream in despair. Even though they were small, they were alert, watching carefully, and some were trying to understand the threat rather than simply flee. One human, a man in simple clothes, stepped forward. His stance was firm, calm, and steady. He did not brandish weapons, though his eyes shone with focus and courage. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice carrying across the field. Vela laughed. "I am Vela of Xiphora. We have come to observe and to laugh at your weakness." The man did not bow, he did not beg. Instead, he studied them, his mind working quickly. He noticed their movements, their posture, and their weapons. He was calculating, thinking of ways to survive or even defend. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. She could not explain why, but this human's courage was unusual. Even for someone small, he seemed unbroken. "Do you fear us?" Vela asked, her voice sharp with surprise at his calm demeanor. The man shook his head slightly. "Fear is for those who do not plan. I will act. That is enough." The other warriors laughed at first, thinking it a joke. But Lyra noticed the tension in the air. The man was not panicking. He was thinking. He was ready. Vela motioned, and the warriors raised their weapons. Light pulses danced in the air, and a subtle energy hum filled the field. Humans scattered, but the man stayed. He ducked behind trees, used rocks as cover, and even toppled a few small obstacles to slow the aliens' approach. Lyra watched in amazement. No human she had studied had ever done anything like this. They were supposed to be weak and easy to dominate, yet here was a human thinking fast, adapting, and surviving. "Impressive," Lyra whispered. She tried to hide it, but a small smile crept onto her face. Vela noticed and scowled. "Lyra, stop staring. You are wasting your curiosity on insects. Focus." But Lyra could not turn away. Her mind raced with questions. How could something so small be so clever? Could humans have hidden strength? Could their courage make up for what they lacked physically? The scouting mission continued for hours. The human man, whom the others would later learn was named Ethan, kept outsmarting traps and carefully avoiding direct confrontation. His small victories were enough to frustrate the Xiphoran warriors, but also to intrigue Lyra. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold, the warriors regrouped. They had not conquered. They had not humiliated as they expected. They had learned something new, even if they were unwilling to admit it. Vela's voice broke the silence. "This was more interesting than expected, but still they are weak. Tiny, fragile, amusing." Lyra stayed quiet, her eyes still on the human far below. "Maybe strength is not always measured in size," she murmured. Vela froze, her eyes narrowing at Lyra's words. The council ended the day's mission, preparing to return to Xiphora. Yet Lyra could not shake the feeling that something important had begun. The humans of Earth had shown something no warrior had expected: courage, intelligence, and the spark of resilience. And Lyra could not deny a small but growing thought: the humans might not be as weak as everyone said. As the ship lifted off, Lyra looked back at the shrinking blue planet. "I will learn more," she whispered. "I need to understand them before it is too late to see their true strength." And with that, the Xiphoran warriors left Earth behind, laughing at what they thought was a harmless encounter. But Lyra's mind was already racing with ideas, plans, and curiosity. She had seen the first hint of something extraordinary, something she could not ignore. The story of Earth, and of the humans who would change the warriors' perspective forever, was just beginning. The morning sun rose over the quiet fields of Earth, casting golden light on tall grasses and small towns. Birds chirped, and the breeze moved gently through trees. To most humans, it was an ordinary day. To the Xiphoran warriors, it was a stage for observation and amusement. The scouting ship hovered silently above a small clearing. Lyra watched from the viewing window, her eyes fixed on the humans below. She had been thinking all night about the man she had seen yesterday, Ethan. There was something about him that made her pause. His calm courage, his clever movements, and his determination had left a lasting impression. "Are you still watching?" Vela's sharp voice cut through Lyra's thoughts. I just want to understand them better," Lyra replied. Her voice was quiet but firm. Vela snorted. "Understand them, they are weak. That is all there is to understand. Curiosity is dangerous, Lyra. Do not let it cloud your judgment." Lyra nodded, but in her heart she disagreed. The warriors descended from the ship, their boots striking the ground with authority. Humans nearby noticed the tall figures and froze. Children ran to their parents and farmers dropped their tools. But the humans were not running in panic. They were cautious, calculating. Ethan stepped forward alone, his eyes locked on the approaching warriors. He carried nothing but his intelligence, experience, and courage. He stood firmly, ready to see what the aliens would do. Vela laughed, a sound like clashing swords. "You again, still unafraid?" Ethan nodded. "I am cautious but not afraid. I know my strengths and I know my limits. I will not run." The other warriors raised their eyebrows. Most humans would have fled instantly. This one human remained, facing beings who could crush him easily. Even Vela felt a spark of irritation mixed with surprise. Lyra, watching from the side, could hardly hide her fascination. Ethan's behavior was unlike anything she had expected. Vela motioned to the others. "Show them what happens when they defy us." Energy pulses danced across the clearing. Trees shook, dust rose, and the humans nearby stumbled back in surprise. But Ethan did not panic. He ducked behind a boulder, using the environment cleverly. He rolled to the side, avoiding the most dangerous pulses, and quickly assessed the situation. Lyra's eyes widened. "He's thinking, he's not just running." Other warriors laughed. "He's no match. Watch how fragile he is." But Ethan had already begun to set small traps. He picked up fallen branches, tied them to rocks with vines, and placed them strategically. When the warriors moved forward, he tripped the ropes. A few warriors stumbled unexpectedly, their balance thrown off. It was minor, but enough to surprise them. Vela's scowl deepened. Clever for a human, but insignificant. Lyra, however, felt a thrill. The human was not merely reacting, he was adapting, thinking. Using his small size to his advantage. The warriors advanced further, more cautious now. Ethan led them through a small series of maneuvers, luring them into areas where the terrain gave humans leverage. Rocks, trees, and shallow streams became obstacles that slowed the warriors. The other humans in the area watched, following Ethan's instructions silently. Lyra could see the amazement in the warriors' eyes. "They are coordinating," one whispered. "I thought they were weak. They work together." "Yes," Lyra said softly. "They are small, but they understand strategy. They are not afraid to act as one." Vela turned to her. "Do not speak nonsense, Lyra. They are insects. Insects do not lead armies, and they certainly do not fight warriors like us." Lyra did not reply. Her mind was too busy analyzing Ethan. Hours passed, and the encounter continued. The humans were clever, but they could not overpower the aliens. Still, they did not give up. Every time a warrior approached, Ethan found a way to evade, distract, or redirect them. Sometimes he would use a clever throw of rocks, a branch snapped to block a path, or quick thinking to confuse the aliens. Vela's patience began to fray. "Enough! These humans amuse me too much. I expected fear, not games." Lyra's eyes followed Ethan as he moved. "He is not playing," she said softly. "He is surviving, and he is teaching others to survive with him. There is leadership in him." Vela sneered. "Leadership in a weak human?" Lyra said nothing, but inside a seed of admiration was growing. As the day continued, the humans began to show even more creativity. One group of farmers created a barricade using carts, barrels, and heavy objects to slow the warriors. Another group led by Ethan hid in the trees, dropping stones and creating distractions. Humans were small and fragile, yes, but they were clever, coordinated, and brave. Lyra was amazed. Each time she thought she had the humans figured out, they adapted, moved, or thought of something new. They were unpredictable in a way the Xiforans were not used to. "Do you see that?" she whispered to herself. "They are not weak, not truly, they are something else entirely." Vela's eyes narrowed. "Lyra, stop watching, focus on the mission." Lyra nodded, but her heart raced. She could not ignore the reality before her eyes. By late afternoon, the warriors had to retreat temporarily to analyze what had happened. They had expected a simple show of dominance. Instead, they had encountered humans who could adapt, think quickly, and act with courage. It was confusing. Vela paced angrily. "I do not understand it. They are tiny, fragile, yet they do not give up. Every attempt to intimidate them fails. It is infuriating." Lyra stepped forward. "Commander, maybe it is not their size that matters. Perhaps their strength is different. Maybe it is in their mind, their courage, their willingness to act together." Vela spun around, glaring at her. "Different strength? Lyra, you are young, but do not let curiosity cloud your judgment. They are humans. They are weak." Lyra did not argue. She simply watched the small human town below, where Ethan moved among his people, directing them calmly and carefully. She could not explain why, but she felt a spark of hope, excitement, and admiration for this species she had been taught to mock. That night, as the warriors rested aboard their ship, Lyra stared at Earth through the observation window. Lights twinkled in the distance. She thought about the humans, their courage, and their cleverness. She remembered the way Ethan had faced the warriors without fear, using his mind to protect others. "Why does he feel different?" she asked quietly to herself. "Why do I feel respect, admiration, even hope?" The other warriors laughed, dismissing her thoughts. "You worry too much, Lyra. They are humans, insects. Do not forget it." Lyra nodded, but in her heart she knew something was changing. She had seen the first sign of human strength, something no Xyphoran had expected. And as the ship drifted silently above Earth, she made a promise to herself. She would learn more about these humans. She would understand their courage, their spirit, and the power that lay hidden in their small bodies. Because she had seen a spark that could grow into something the galaxy had never imagined. The encounter of Earth's humans and the alien warriors was far from over. And Lyra knew, deep inside, that the story of humans' courage and cleverness was only just beginning. The sun rose over Earth, painting the sky with golden and orange hues. Birds sang in the quiet morning, and a soft breeze rustled the leaves of the trees. From high above, the Xyphoran warriors watched the small humans moving through the fields, carrying tools, tending animals, and performing ordinary tasks. But today, the ordinary would not remain ordinary. Today, the warriors would test humans in ways the planet had never seen before. Lyra stood on the deck of the scouting ship, her eyes fixed on Ethan. He was moving among his people, helping them coordinate tasks efficiently, quietly giving instructions. Even in these mundane activities, there was leadership, intelligence, and courage in his every action. Lyra felt a strange admiration. Vela, pacing impatiently beside her, noticed her distraction. "Lyra, focus! This is not a time for daydreaming. Today we show these humans how weak they are." Lyra nodded, hiding her excitement. "Yes, Commander," she said softly, though inside she was already wondering how far the humans could go. The warriors descended to a clearing outside the town. Their presence was impossible to ignore. Humans froze at the sight of the tall, strong aliens, but Ethan did not flinch. Instead, he walked calmly forward, studying each warrior, noting their weapons, movements, and expressions. "Humans," Vela announced, her voice carrying across the clearing, "we have come to test your strength. You may resist, but know this, you are tiny, weak, and fragile. This will not take long." Ethan took a deep breath. He had faced dangers before, but nothing like this. The warriors were not just strong, they were nearly invincible. But he knew one thing: raw strength alone did not always win. Strategy, quick thinking, and courage could level the playing field. "Then we accept your challenge," Ethan said, his voice calm but steady. "But we fight on our terms," the warriors laughed. "On your terms?" Vela asked. "This should be entertaining." Lyra watched silently, intrigued. Ethan's confidence was not arrogance, it was calculated. He had a plan. The first challenge began. Vela and two other warriors advanced, expecting humans to scatter. Instead, Ethan had prepared the clearing. Simple traps made from logs, ropes, and stones slowed the warriors' movements. The humans moved with purpose, ducking behind barriers, redirecting the attackers, and forcing them to adjust. The warriors stumbled. A log swung unexpectedly, a rope tripped one of them, and small rocks hit with precision. These humans were using their environment as a weapon. They were tiny, fragile, but they were clever. Lyra's heart raced. She could not hide the thrill she felt at seeing humans use strategy. "They are amazing," she whispered, Vela's brow furrowed. "This is nothing, they are insects. They stumble because they are lucky, not strong." But luck alone could not explain what Ethan and the humans were doing. They were coordinated, thoughtful, and quick to adapt. Each time a warrior moved, a human countered. Each obstacle was used intelligently. The second challenge tested the humans' mind and teamwork. Ethan gathered a small group of men and women and whispered instructions. They split into teams, some creating distractions while others moved silently to reposition obstacles. The warriors were strong and fast, but humans were unpredictable. One human climbed a small tree and dropped a heavy branch. Another led a warrior into a pit cleverly disguised with leaves. The warriors were surprised, struggling to maintain balance and control. Lyra could hardly believe her eyes. "They are thinking faster than we expected," Vela growled. "They are still weak, they are tiny, strength matters." Lyra shook her head slightly. "Maybe not always," she whispered. "Maybe cleverness and courage matter more than size sometimes." The warriors tried to push forward, but the humans anticipated every move. Ethan was everywhere at once, coordinating silently, always a few steps ahead. Hours passed, and the sun climbed higher in the sky. Sweat ran down the warriors' faces as they tried to keep up with the humans. They were faster, stronger, and more powerful, yet the humans remained elusive. Every human move was calculated, every trap set perfectly, and every escape route thought out in advance. Lyra could see the frustration building in Vela. The commander's patience was thin and her pride was wounded. "This is ridiculous," Vela shouted. "We are the strongest in the galaxy. How can tiny humans challenge us?" "They are not just challenging you," Lyra said quietly. "They are teaching us something. Adaptation, courage, teamwork, they are not weak." Vela glared, but even she could not deny the truth. Each time she advanced, humans found ways to outsmart her. They were clever, fearless, and united. As the day wore on, Ethan took the humans through a final test. He led them to the edge of a forest, where the terrain was uneven and full of hidden dangers. Here, humans could use the natural environment to their advantage. Small traps were set and clever maneuvers allowed them to evade the warriors' raw strength. The warriors, despite all their training, struggled. They could not predict every move, could not match every clever trick. They had underestimated these humans. Lyra watched with awe. She had seen the humans' courage before, but now she saw their intelligence in action. It was not brute force. It was calculation, bravery, and teamwork combined. "This is incredible," she whispered to herself. "They are so small, yet so powerful in ways we never expected." By late afternoon, the warriors called a halt. They were not defeated, but they were exhausted, frustrated, and forced to admit something they had never considered. Humans were not physically strong compared to Xiphorans, but they were resilient, intelligent, and courageous. Vela's voice was sharp. "This is a temporary delay. Do not let them fool you. They are weak." Lyra shook her head, looking at Ethan and his people as they regrouped. "They are not weak," she said softly. "They are different, strong in ways we never understood." Vela scowled at her. "Lyra, you are letting admiration cloud your judgment. These humans are tiny, fragile, and nothing more." Lyra did not argue. Instead, she studied Ethan. He was small, but every movement, every decision, every act of leadership shone with power in a different form, one Valans had never respected. As evening fell, the warriors prepared to leave the humans for the night. The humans had survived every challenge, not through sheer strength, but through intelligence, courage, and teamwork. They had proved that being small and fragile did not mean being powerless. Ethan walked among his people, ensuring everyone was safe and calm. He did not celebrate in arrogance. He simply nodded, reassured that his people had performed as needed. Lyra felt a growing admiration. "I have never seen anything like this," she whispered. "Strength is not just muscle, it is courage, it is intelligence, it is spirit." Humans have it all. Vela, unaware of Lyra's thoughts, scowled. "Do not let these insects fool you, Lyra. Remember who we are. Remember Xifora's might." Lyra nodded, but she knew that what she had seen today would not be forgotten. Humans were capable of much more than anyone in Xiphora had imagined. That night, as the warriors rested aboard their ship, Lyra could not sleep. She stared at Earth through the viewing window, watching lights twinkle in the small towns and cities. She thought about Ethan, the courage he had shown, and the cleverness of his people. "They are small, fragile, but so strong," she whispered to herself. "Not in muscle, but in heart, mind, and spirit. This is true power." The other warriors laughed and relaxed, dismissing the humans as weak. But Lyra could not. She felt a spark, a new understanding of strength. It was not just physical. It was courage, teamwork, cleverness, and the ability to never give up. And she knew, deep inside, that the humans of Earth had already begun to change the way she thought. The story of Earth's humans and the Xiphoran warriors was far from over. Challenges, tests, and lessons awaited. But one thing was certain. These humans were unlike anything Lyra had ever seen, and they had already earned her respect. The sun rose slowly over the forests and fields of Earth. Its soft light spilled across the small human town, touching rooftops and the edges of rivers. For most humans, it was another ordinary day. But for the Xiphoran warriors, it was a day that would shift their understanding of what strength truly meant. After the challenges of the previous day, the warriors were still on high alert. Their pride had been tested and their patience stretched. Yet something was different. Where frustration had once filled their hearts, a new emotion stirred, a quiet curiosity led by Lyra. She could not stop thinking about the humans and, more importantly, the man who had led them, Ethan. Vela, pacing on the deck of their hovering ship, scowled. "I do not understand it. These humans are tiny, fragile, yet they fight with courage. They evade us, they think." "How can this be?" Lyra remained silent, watching the humans from afar. "Because strength is not only in size," she whispered to herself. "It is in heart, in courage, in intelligence. These humans, they have something we cannot measure." Vela snapped her attention toward her. "Lyra, do not let admiration cloud your judgment. They are weak. Remember who we are." Lyra nodded politely, hiding her thoughts, but inside she could not deny what she had seen. Humans were not only brave, they inspired respect by their cleverness and unity. The warriors decided to approach the humans carefully. They were no longer here simply to mock. Curiosity had overtaken arrogance. For the first time, they wished to understand these small, fragile beings. Ethan noticed their approach. He stood calmly, but his mind raced. He had observed the Xiphorans carefully over the last 2 days. He knew that raw strength could not be countered with muscle alone. Strategy, teamwork, and observation would be his allies. When the warriors landed, Lyra stepped forward. "Humans," she began, her voice quieter and more respectful than usual, "we have watched you for 2 days. You are different from what we expected." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" he asked, cautious but not afraid. Lyra hesitated. How could she explain what she had felt, what she had seen in action? Finally, she said, "You are small, fragile, but you are brave, clever, and capable. You survive and adapt in ways that surprise even us. That is strength, true strength." The humans were silent for a moment, unsure if the warrior meant praise or mockery. Ethan studied her eyes and saw honesty. This was not sarcasm or trickery. Lyra genuinely admired what humans could do. Vela stepped forward, her tone harsher but less mocking than before. "Do not think this changes anything. You are still tiny. We are warriors of Xiphora. You cannot match us physically." Ethan nodded slowly. "I do not deny your strength, but strength is not only physical. Intelligence, courage, and the will to protect others matter too. These are things humans have in abundance." Lyra's heart leapt. She had never heard anyone speak like this, especially a human who was so small compared to the Xiphorans, but with such confidence and truth. "You understand?" she asked softly, unable to hide her curiosity. Ethan smiled slightly. "We survive not by being the strongest, but by being clever, united, and brave. Strength is more than muscle." Lyra felt a thrill. This was exactly what she had been trying to explain to her people. Humans were not weak. They had something Xiphorans had not considered, something profound. The warriors and humans spent the next hours in careful dialogue. Ethan explained how humans learned from each challenge, adapted to danger, and relied on teamwork. The warriors listened, at first skeptical, but gradually with growing interest. Lyra hung on every word, fascinated by how the humans' small size belied their courage and intelligence. "You are telling us," Lyra said, "that humans can survive even against stronger beings by using their minds and courage." Ethan nodded. "Yes, we cannot always match power with power, but we can match strategy with strategy, bravery with bravery. That is how we endure. That is how we protect each other." Vela scowled. "You may talk of courage, but courage does not stop claws or energy blasts. You are still fragile. You are still weak." Lyra turned to Vela. "Perhaps, Commander, you are seeing strength only as power to destroy. But strength can also be protection, intelligence, and willpower. These humans embody it. We should study, not dismiss them." Vela's eyes narrowed, but she said nothing. Lyra had grown bold, and she was no longer willing to ignore the truth. The conversation shifted to observation. Lyra suggested walking among the humans, seeing their daily lives firsthand. Vela hesitated, worried about risk, but Lyra convinced her that observation would teach them more than domination ever could. As the warriors walked through the town, they noticed human ingenuity everywhere. Farmers had clever irrigation systems, homes had tools that required coordination and understanding, and children learned lessons of cooperation and bravery. Humans worked together naturally, sharing responsibilities and helping one another. Lyra was amazed. They do everything together. Every small task shows intelligence and care for others. This is a kind of strength I have never seen before. Ethan approached them calmly. "You are seeing our world, but strength is not only in what you observe. It is in what we do when challenged. It is in how we protect each other." The warriors watched as Ethan guided a small group to fix a collapsed fence, showing patience and encouragement. They worked together efficiently, overcoming obstacles without any need for force. Vela finally spoke, her voice quieter, uncertain. "I do not understand. How can they, being so small, achieve so much?" Lyra smiled slightly. "Because they use their minds. They support each other, and they never give up. These are things strength alone cannot buy." The warriors continued to observe the humans throughout the day. Every task, every movement revealed courage and cleverness. Humans had faced danger in history, adapted to it, and survived. not because of muscle, but because of heart, intelligence, and unity. Lyra felt pride in her people, yet admiration for these humans. She realized that this lesson was not just about Earth, it was about understanding what true strength meant across the galaxy. As evening fell, the humans invited the warriors to sit and share food. It was a small gesture, simple and humble, but it carried meaning. Sharing meals, showing hospitality, and caring for each other, these were things Xiphorans had rarely seen in conquered worlds. Ethan spoke quietly as they ate. Strength is not always about force. It is about courage, loyalty, and the will to protect. These things define humans. Lyra nodded. I understand now. Humans may be small, but they are powerful in ways we never imagined. Vela remained silent, but her scowl softened. She could not deny that the humans had shown a type of strength the Xiphorans had never respected before. The night ended with Lyra standing apart, staring at the stars. Earth was quiet, peaceful, yet filled with life, courage, and intelligence. She thought of Ethan and his people, their cleverness, their teamwork, and their spirit. They are not weak, she whispered to herself. They are strong, stronger than we believed, stronger than we can measure. The encounter had changed something in Lyra. Humans were no longer insects to mock. They were a species to understand, to respect, and perhaps even to learn from. And deep inside, Lyra knew that this was only the beginning. The humans of Earth had shown courage and intelligence beyond what anyone in Xiphora had expected. Mutual respect had begun to grow, bridging two worlds that had once been completely separate. The story of humans and Xiphorans was no longer a tale of domination. It was now a story of understanding, courage, and admiration. And Lyra could feel the promise of something greater, the possibility of alliance, friendship, and shared discovery. As she closed her eyes that night, she felt a spark of hope and excitement. The humans of Earth were remarkable, and she would see just how far their courage and cleverness could reach. The dawn broke softly over Earth, painting the horizon in shades of pink and gold. The quiet town stirred to life, children ran to school, farmers tended their fields, and the rivers glistened under the morning sun. Above, the Xiphoran warriors hovered silently in their sleek ships, their presence no longer threatening but observant. Lyra stood at the edge of the ship's viewing deck, her eyes fixed on the humans below. The past few days had changed her perception of Earth and its people. She had seen courage, intelligence, teamwork, and resilience in action. These humans had faced warriors far stronger than themselves and had survived, not through brute force but through strategy, unity, and heart. Beside her, Vela paced nervously. The commander's pride had been wounded, yet she could not deny the truth. The humans were remarkable in ways the Xiphorans had never understood. They are different, Vela muttered, almost to herself. I cannot believe it. They are so small, yet so strong. Lyra turned toward her. Commander, they are not small in spirit. Their courage, intelligence, and unity make them formidable. We should respect them, learn from them, and perhaps even ally with them. Vela's eyes narrowed. She was still struggling with her pride, yet the evidence was undeniable. You may be right, she admitted reluctantly. But how do we approach this? Lyra smiled slightly. With honesty, respect, and openness, that is what they understand. That is how trust begins. The warriors descended once more to the town. This time there was no energy pulse, no threat. Humans watched carefully, unsure of what to expect. Ethan stepped forward, calm and confident, sensing the difference in the alien's demeanor. Lyra raised her hand in greeting. Humans of Earth, we come not to dominate or mock. We come to learn and to offer respect. You have shown courage, intelligence, and teamwork that inspire even the strongest of Xiphorans. I am Lyra, and I speak for those who are willing to see your strength as it truly is. Ethan studied her carefully, then nodded. I am Ethan. You have already seen what humans can do. But it is not just about strength or skill. It is about helping each other, protecting each other, and learning together. If you respect that, we can work together. Vela stepped forward cautiously. Humans, you have proven yourselves clever and brave. Xiphora has always valued strength, but now we see strength can take many forms. We offer a chance for alliance. Together, we can explore, learn, and protect the galaxy from dangers we cannot face alone. The humans were cautious but intrigued. They had expected conquerors, threats, and mockery. Instead, they saw admiration, respect, and an offer of partnership. Over the next few days, humans and Xiphorans worked together to understand one another. Lyra spent hours observing humans in their daily lives. learning their strategies, ingenuity, and spirit. She discovered their ability to adapt quickly, solve problems creatively, and inspire one another. Ethan shared stories of human history, how humans had survived disasters, wars, and challenges through courage and cooperation. He explained that every small human contribution mattered, and that unity was a source of strength no physical power could break. The warriors listened intently. Even Vela began to soften, impressed by the human's resilience and heart. She had always valued raw strength above all else, but she could not deny the truth. These humans had something special. A practical test of alliance soon arose. A distant star system had been experiencing violent storms that threatened the planets nearby. Both humans and Zyphorans saw an opportunity to work together, combining Zyphoran strength with human ingenuity. Lyra and Ethan coordinated the mission. Zyphorans provided the muscle, technology, and speed. Humans provided strategy, resourcefulness, and quick thinking. Each side learned from the other. Humans adapted to alien technology, while Zyphorans learned to appreciate the value of careful planning, patience, and collaboration. During the mission, the strengths of both species complemented each other perfectly. When a storm hit unexpectedly, humans found clever ways to redirect energy, protect settlements, and save lives. Zyphorans used their strength to move heavy objects, shield vulnerable structures, and provide rapid intervention where needed. Lyra watched Ethan directing humans with confidence and clarity. His courage, intelligence, and leadership shone brightly. She felt proud, not only of humans, but of what they could achieve together. After the mission was successful, the humans and Zyphorans gathered to celebrate. It was a simple moment, yet it symbolized something profound: mutual respect, shared purpose, and trust between two very different species. Vela addressed the group. "I came here expecting to dominate and mock. Instead, I have seen something I did not expect. Humans may be small, but they are brave, clever, and strong in ways we have never measured. Zyphora honors you." Lyra stepped forward, smiling at Ethan. "We have much to learn from each other. Humans inspire us not because of size or strength alone, but because of spirit, courage, and unity. That is the true power." Ethan nodded humbly. "And we have much to learn from you. Your strength, technology, and experience are incredible. Together, we can achieve far more than either of us could alone." The alliance between humans and Zyphorans grew stronger over time. Lyra worked closely with Ethan to teach Zyphoran warriors about human strategies, while humans learned Zyphoran combat techniques and survival skills. Both sides discovered that cooperation, respect, and shared knowledge could achieve extraordinary results. Lyra often reflected on the journey that had brought them here. She remembered the first day she had seen Ethan stand calmly against the warriors' intimidation. She remembered how humans had adapted, outsmarted, and survived. And she remembered the moment when she realized that strength was not measured only by muscle or weapons, but by courage, intelligence, and the will to protect others. Humans had changed her. They had changed her people, and together they had begun to change the galaxy. Months later, as the Alliance prepared to explore new star systems, Lyra stood with Ethan on a small observation hill overlooking the human town. Lights twinkled in the evening, and the gentle hum of life filled the air. "You have taught us so much," Lyra said softly. "We came to mock, to observe, and instead we have learned. Humans are remarkable, stronger than we ever imagined." Ethan smiled. "And you have taught us too. Strength is not just in the body, it is in heart, mind, and courage. Together we can reach far beyond what either of us could alone." Lyra nodded, feeling hope and excitement. The future was full of possibilities. Humans and Zyphorans, once separated by fear and misunderstanding, were now allies. And the story of courage, cleverness, and unity would continue to inspire both worlds. As the stars began to appear in the sky, Lyra knew this was only the beginning. Humans had proven themselves, not with brute force, but with heart and spirit. And now they would face the galaxy together, stronger than ever, united by respect, understanding, and the true meaning of strength. The blue planet below glimmered peacefully, holding humans who had shown the universe what courage really meant. And high above, the Zyphorans watched with admiration, knowing that Earth had earned its place among the stars, not through dominance, but through the power of its people.